Welcome to Extraterrestrial Reality. Today I'm going to talk about a few different things. First, we're going to start off with some new comments from Senator Marco Rubio about the whistleblowers, which I find very interesting. So here, we pull it up on the screen here. This was reported in The Hill today. And the headline reads, True or Crazy, UFO Whistleblowers Coming Out of the Woodwork. It says, in a June 26th interview with News Nation, Senator Marco Rubio stated that multiple individuals had corroborated a whistleblower's explosive allegations of a secret, decades-long UFO crash retrieval and reverse engineering effort. As the top Republican on the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence and a member of the so-called Gang of Eight, Rubio's extraordinary comments carry particular weight. According to Rubio, only one of two remarkable outcomes will ultimately explain recent developments. And this is some interesting quotes that he has here. He says, either what the whistleblower is saying is partially true or entirely true, or we have some really smart, educated people with high clearances and very important positions in our government who are crazy and are leading us on a goose chase. And this is, he continues here. He says, most of these people have held very high clearances and high positions within our government. So you ask yourself, what incentive would so many people with that kind of qualifications, these are serious people, have to come forward and make something up? Pressed for details, Rubio stated that individuals with firsthand knowledge or firsthand claims are saying to us what you've seen out there in the public record, whether it's about legacy UFO programs or about current events. And he also said about the statements are beyond the realm of what any of us on the Senate Intelligence Committee has ever dealt with. Let's just stop there for a second. So basically, I mean, to me, this is, what else could you say? What else could you say? It's, so, I mean, people out there have problems with Grush, right? They said, well, but yet you have all these other people that they're talking to. It's not just him. He was talking to some of these people that are involved in these programs, obviously, and they're telling this to people on this in the committees, in the Senate and in the House, apparently. And so this is a done deal. I mean, this is coming out. We're getting close to the end here, folks. I mean, these people aren't going to put their careers on the line, risk everything, for some crazy hoax like this. This is not, there's no hoax here. This is real. So I don't know what else to say about this other than, hey, we'll have to see how things pan out. Hopefully by the end of this month, we'll start seeing some public hearings on this, like has been previewed. I know it looks like we're going to have one in the House toward the end of the month. I don't believe we have a date for the Senate committee hearing as of yet. But the bottom line is these are incredible statements that are coming from different people in Congress to say that either he's not even saying that Grush is lying at all. He's saying everything he's saying is either true or partially true. It's one or the other, as far as Rubio is concerned. And I guess he's coming from a position where he's talked to more people. He's talked to people that we haven't heard from yet, some of these other whistleblowers. So obviously, we're moving towards some sort of an end game here, I believe, despite the efforts of the secret control group. It's something's going to have to give at some point. I mean, I don't believe that David Grush is a hoaxer. I just don't see it. I can't imagine that a guy with his kind of pedigree is going to put everything on the line for something like this. There's just no way. And then on top of it, he has the backing of other whistleblowers. So to me, this is an incredible. We're in incredible times right now. This could actually be the year. This could be something could go down this year where we all find out what the truth is, what has been hidden from us. We might get somewhere. We might cross that red line possibly. And I'll leave the link for this article so you can check out the whole thing and make up your own mind with that. Now, speaking of hoaxes, I did want to talk about something that's been on Twitter a lot lately. Now, apparently there was some woman on a recent American Airlines flight leaving from Texas, freaked out, and there's videos all over Twitter about this. I am not going to play these videos because she's throwing out F-bombs and stuff like that. She's cursing her head off. Basically, she's saying this young woman left the flight. I'll leave the link here so you can check it out for yourself. She said she left the flight because the guy she was sitting next to her on the plane wasn't real or something. And then some other guy had put on made a video on TikTok where he said that he was on the plane too, and that when he didn't know what was really going on, he witnessed all this commotion, and then when he looked back and he looked face to face with this guy apparently was sitting wearing a hoodie, and the guy looked at him and winked, except when he winked, it didn't go up and down like a regular human wink. It winked left to right. And so basically this guy was implying that it was a reptilian. However, this was all over Twitter and people fell for this. This was not real. Actually, if you go to the original TikTok video, the guy says that he's just making this up. He just wanted to see, what would happen, by putting some story out there like this. So when these kind of things happen, like for all we know, this lady on the plane, she just might have been having a moment. Doesn't mean that she was sitting next to an alien, right? It could be that, who knows? I mean, maybe she's having some mental issues. Maybe she's on some medication that caused her to think this way. Maybe maybe she really did see something. Maybe there was something really was there. But people are jumping to conclusions like she was sitting by some reptilian. But let me tell you something, folks. There's a lot of people out there who are unhinged. I mean, you run into them here and there, and through the travels of life, and they start screaming and hollering about different things, and they're just not right in the head at that moment. I mean, for whatever reason. Could it be something? Maybe, but I don't think so. I think that she was just freaking out. These kind of things happen all the time. And of course, that other thing where the other aspect of this story, where some other guy, some alleged passenger, he really wasn't. He just made that whole story up, saying that the guy was a reptilian. Well, that was, again, people all over Twitter. I mean, a lot of people in the UFO community fall for this stuff. You got to be careful what you fall for, because a lot of these things, a lot of times, just are not true. So I wanted to point that out. That's a hoax. Okay, that's a hoax, I think. Or actually, it's a real event mixed in with a hoax. I think the whole commentary, that this woman was on a plane sitting next to a reptilian, right? I think that's just made up. The part where she's freaking out, okay, yeah, that's real. She's saying that the guy she's sitting next to is not real, and I'm getting off this plane, F this, F that, a bunch of curse words, and then she's taken off the plane. There's nothing to this story. I would firmly believe that there's most likely not anything to this story. I think it was just somebody freaking out, most likely. And then a lot of people thought maybe there's something to it just because of that one guy who made up a story saying when he looked at this guy in the hoodie that she was referring to, he blinked like a reptilian would, like a reptile. From the eyelid went from left to right instead of up and down. So there you go with that. So I'm going to get that out of the way. Now there's some other things that have been happening over, and I'm not going to get into it in this podcast because I want to do something separate on this. I just want to make note of it, that there has been something that has been posted on Reddit this week from an anonymous source who claims that he worked in a secret facility working with alien bodies, recovered alien bodies. And the guy, whoever wrote this, it was a very expansive message on tweet, very large comment, which we got into many little nitty gritty kind of details on what was what this guy experienced, or woman, that doesn't really say. That this person dealt with alien bodies. It seems like whoever wrote this, the person behind this, obviously is someone who is very well schooled in biology and genetics and knows what they're talking about. So if it's a hoax, well, it's a really good one. It's probably one of the best hoaxes I've ever seen. If it does turn out to be a hoax, it could be real. We just don't know. I mean, there's absolutely we have no idea who this person is. Completely anonymous. Like recently, I've talked about anonymous sources on my channel, but I feel a lot more comfortable talking about some of these because at least I know these people. I know that they're real people. I've looked into their backgrounds. They, like for instance, recently there was a person that I was talking about who was a retired Air Force, who actually talked about that he was exposed to a alien implant removal program while in the Air Force in the early 2000s. Like, I've talked to this guy. He's emailed me. I've talked to him on the phone. I looked into him. He's a real person. He said, who lives where he says he really lives. And so I have a little bit more comfort level when you have an anonymous source who at least somebody could corroborate it. I mean, I know it's tough because I mean people out there could say, "Well, you're making it up." Well, no, I'm not making it up. If you know, I know for a fact what I have, and I know I have the emails, and I've talked to this person. Yeah. So there's another person that I have talked to a number of times who I've talked about who's provided me lots of ideas and concepts with regard to the UFO phenomenon and the alien extraterrestrial phenomenon. And this person is a retired electronics engineer who worked for NASA, DARPA, the CIA, and actually various defense contractors. And while this person's never come in contact with any recovered extraterrestrial craft or anything like that, this person does have an interest in it and did have an encounter of his own. But he wants to remain anonymous, and I've talked to him a number of times. I know he's real, right? I've talked to him on the phone. We share emails back and forth a lot, and so there's different levels of anonymous, right? Where like the problem with the Reddit one to me is that it's I mean, there's no idea. We have no idea. Nobody's talked to this person, right? Nobody knows. There's nobody behind the scenes, no reporter, no news agency that could say, yeah, this person's anonymous and we know that he's real and this is where he lives and blah, blah, blah. There's nothing to back it up other than the statement. It could be an elaborate hoax. It could be something that was pulled off by a number of people, by a number of different people. And we just don't know. We just don't know. And I guess we just got to wait and see how that all pans out. But I am going to do something more expansive on that in a different podcast over the weekend. Anyway, I also want to talk about. I want to get into the Vegas alien stuff again. I was looking at I get some emails from different people, and one of them has been pointing out there were some other observations on TikTok. In addition to some of the observations that I've talked about here, I had Scott Roeder on, a crime scene reconstruction expert on a couple of times already, and he was kind enough to put together an analysis of a portion of the video that was filmed by the family. And he said that there's something in there. In one portion of the video, he believes that there is something there that's moving toward these people. And I've shown that video on several, at least 2 podcasts, at least maybe 3 up to this point. But there's other people pointing out some other aspects of this, and I'm just going to get into that. On TikTok, there were some different videos that people pointed things out. I actually asked Scott Roeder to look at them, and he looked at the original video and said that, yes, these things are in the original video. So I'm going to pull out some of these, look at some of these other images that were on TikTok and talk about them. Now, looks like there's some beings that are standing beside the heavy equipment, the forklifts or whatever they are. And you can see here, hold on a second. Whoop. You can see like right here, looks like there's eyes where the arrow's pointing right there. Looks like there's eyes staring back at you, right? And then there's a circle right here, and somebody's pointing out that could be something there. Okay, maybe. I don't know. It's really too blurry to really see, but I mean, it could be. It really could be. I don't know. And then there was another one. And hold on, let me pull it up here. And this was this one on TikTok. This was even more interesting, I thought. If you look at this, it zooms in on something that looks like it's in between the truck and the equipment there, right there. You can see this looks like a head. And again, I had Scott Roeder. He looked at this for me, and he said, yes, these objects are in the original video too. I mean, it just wasn't something that was put in there by anybody, but it looks like that could be some sort of a face with a weird kind of neck, possibly. We just don't know. I mean, to me, these things aren't really, they're not moving as with the other image that we looked at. Scott had presented, where you can see where it looks like there's a creature moving toward you. That was more realistic, I thought. But here you can see, yeah, it looks like it could be a head. I'll play this little clip again. It doesn't look like it's moving though. I mean, you just look at it. It looks like it's pretty steady there. Yeah. I mean, it was basically a still. They basically pause it there. It's hard to really tell, but it could be something. I mean, obviously, I think that I still believe that these people there had experienced something. Uh, I don't know what it is. I mean, I think it could possibly be aliens. I mean, what else would it be? I don't think that there's no way. I don't believe that it's a hoax. But you know, I guess time will tell. I said, I don't think that this is ever going to turn out to be revealed that it was revealed as some sort of elaborate hoax. Although there are some people out there who do believe it is, and we're going to get into that a little bit right now. There was a video. I'm not going to. I'm going to show you what this is. The channel right here. This channel right here. The Truth Is. It's called, right. It's basically done in animation with this. This guy's gives his commentary on what he believes if something's true or false. And the reason I'm not going to play any sections of this video is because when this guy's talking, this guy who has himself dressed in a hoodie with a giant brain behind it, unfortunately, that doesn't fly with his analysis, because his analysis is completely flawed. And we're going to get into that. Even though I'm not going to play any part of his video, and I'll tell you why. The reason why is because every time he's talking, there's a musical soundtrack behind it, and if I use that, then that could end up in copyright strikes or restrictions or copyright claims, copyright infringement claims on YouTube. So I'm not going to use that. But good for fortunately, there is a transcript which I'm going to resort to instead, and I'm going to talk. He makes I think it's 7 different points, 7 different red flags about the whole Vegas story, and I want to go through those red flags and basically tear them apart, because to me they don't make much sense. And we're going to go through this here. There we go. Find it. And now I did. Like I said, I basically have the transcript here copied down, so I'm gonna go through that. But I just want to point out this person here, who's ever responsible. The problem with the channel is, you see, this guy has 215,000 subscribers on YouTube, and this video that he's made has 28,000 views already. So I feel compelled to talk about this again, because I just feel bad. Somebody needs to point out that what this guy is presenting is just nonsense. Because unfortunately, there's already 28,000 brains, and all those cells in those brains have been exposed to his nonsense, and they might go through life now believing what this guy said, which doesn't make any sense to me. Then again, I'm sure there's a few of them who listen to this and believe the same thing I believe, that this guy is totally off base. But what this is an example of, I want to point this out. There's a difference between a professional debunker and an amateur debunker. This guy is an amateur debunker. He would never have done something like this. Professional debunkers never go this far. What professional debunkers, what they do is they present a half-assed argument. That's what they do. It's always half-assed. They don't provide all of the documentation. They don't really provide much at all, actually. In fact, when you think, for instance, like Michael Shermer, when he was commenting about this recently, I talked about this. He was on Twitter, and Michael Shermer was talking about this. He's a debunker. He's for over 30 years, he's been trying to debunk UFOs, and he's the founder of Skeptic Magazine. So now recently he was talking about this, and what he does, he'll throw something on Twitter saying it's just that this is a hoax or something to that effect, and then he'll give you a link to something that somebody else came up with. Like, for instance, when he was talking about this on Twitter recently, Shermer, he put a link to another video that showed some obvious CGI creation that somebody was trying to say was the Vegas alien, which really had nothing to do with that story at all. So that's how Michael Shermer, that's how a professional debunker does things. They do things half-assed, right? They don't really, when it's the more difficult cases like Aerial School or something like this, they'll stay back in the shadows and just throw a couple of little harmless pot shots out there, but enough to do damage against it, just to say that it's a hoax. Mick West called this a hoax. Okay. For instance, Mick West, if you remember, it was like last year when some guy from the United Kingdom came up with this crazy theory regarding the Aerial School incident, where He said it was a traveling puppeteer troupe. Basically showed up real quick, set up shop, showed the kids some puppets, a UFO puppet, a flying saucer puppet, a flying saucer prop, alien puppets, and then hurried up and got out of there before all the teachers came out. I mean, that was absolutely absurd, right? Totally stupid. I mean, anybody who would believe that would be dumb, really dumb. That's more fantastic than what the kids actually said really happened, is that the extraterrestrials were there. But anyway, Mick West puts that out there. It's not him. He doesn't want to attack that story. He wants to stay away from it because it's hard for him to try to debunk something like that. How can you debunk something where there's over 60 witnesses? So what he does, he'll promote that theory, but from somebody else. That's how the debunkers operate. For the more difficult cases that they know they're going to have trouble debunking, they do things half-assed. Okay. But this guy here, the guy on this, from this channel that we're talking about, the truth is, right? Well, this is not the truth. He doesn't give any truths at all. This guy's an amateur debunker, so he's not even at the half-assed level like as a professional debunker. He's somewhere below half-assed. So he's under red. I mean, he's exposed himself here basically to how dumb his arguments are. If you're going to try to debunk something, you should actually, for one thing, you need to really investigate something before you open your mouth. That's why professional debunkers won't even go there. They know better. So they'll just give you, again, a half-assed analysis that's mixed with lies and truth, and then move on when it comes to the more difficult cases. But anyway, let's get into this. He says he provides all these different red flags. And here's the first red flag right out of the gate. It says, he says well, let me see, where am I starting here? It's hard to write it all off as just another hoax, but after taking some time to look into the situation, I believe this is exactly what this is, just another hoax, and I'm going to explain why. The first red flag was the location of the so-called sighting. This all happened in Las Vegas near Area 51, where many people claim to have seen aliens thousands of times, and each of those being unproven. It's just too stereotypical for an alien sighting to be in the area. Out of all the places in the world, why would it be seen in Las Vegas? Okay, let's just stop there. That's probably one of the stupidest things this guy said. Okay, he's saying that without aliens, people saw aliens thousands of times at Area 51. This guy has no idea what he's talking about. For one thing, UFO sightings and alien encounters happen everywhere, all over the world, right? And this guy's saying, well, his argument here is, well, yeah, you know what? Those people are thinking about Area 51 all the time, obviously. And they just thought, oh, man, you know what? It'd be a great idea. Let's pretend there's aliens here. So that's how he's thinking these people were thinking. That's just because they're living in Las Vegas, right? Near Area 51, this top secret facility of the United States government, the area where Bob Lazar said he saw, near Area 51, S4, where he saw craft and stuff like that back in the 90s when he was working on one of these programs. So this guy's saying that these people, one of the reasons they came up with this, the reason this is a hoax is because it happened in Vegas, which is near Area 51. That's one of the dumbest things I ever heard in my life. That is one of the stupidest things I've ever heard in my life. One of the stupidest debunker arguments I've ever heard, ever, actually. Okay, let's get into the second one. The second reason to me was the way the kid described the alien. Exactly like hundreds of films depict aliens. He saw creatures with green skin and glowing eyes. It just sounds like a generic alien depiction to me. Yeah. He says it sounds like he was showing during the video, he's showing pictures of from some scenes from Men in Black and stuff like that, where there was a giant, human-sized alien. So basically, he's saying that this is the way aliens look in the movies. So basically, his idea is here that they're sitting there watching Men in Black one night. Hey, Dad, you know what? Why do we pull off an alien hoax and we'll say we saw one of those things in the yard? Okay. Let me just break this one down now. Okay. Now, for one thing, alien encounters, as I've talked about, most of the time they're dealing with these little 3.5 to 4 foot tall little gray beings. Most people encounters that's more stereotypical, right? That's a lot of the reports are concerning shorter aliens. In fact, it's the opposite. I mean, one of the reasons why I believe that it was not a hoax is because they were reporting 8 to 10 foot tall alien beings in the backyard. Nobody ever does that. You rarely hear these kind of reports. It's very rare for people to see these report these kind of things, to have encounters with these kind of things, but they do happen every now and then. But most of the time it's these little short beings, these little worker bees that are apparently sent out by the bigger ones, by the praying mantis style beings. Okay, so this is another dumb argument. So he's making it sound like this family was sitting there watching and they saw some movie on TV and they came up with this idea. Hey, let's go say a predator was out in the yard now. We'll call 911. So that's this guy's mentality. I mean, again, this is another reason. Again, this is the amateur hour. This is the amateur hour in the debunker world. It's very easy to tear them apart when they do this kind of thing. Okay, hold on. Let's go on to the third red flag. Okay, the third red flag was the fact that we were in 2023 and just about everybody has a high resolution camera in their pockets. How wasn't this family able to take any pictures or footage of the alien in their backyard? Nowadays, anything that happens is caught on video. It's just too hard to believe they couldn't get any footage of this sighting. Okay, let me just stop there for a second. Let me explain something to you. There was video taken. Did you not see it? Did you not see it? In fact, I had a crime scene reconstruction expert on my podcast who broke down that video himself and showed that there was some object, there was something in that yard moving that corroborates exactly what this family was saying. This guy didn't even look into this thing. He's just sitting back, and again, this is armchair debunkerism at its worst, right? This guy sitting back doesn't even do an investigation. He just slapped this video together, put his little cartoon images up with him sitting there like some brainiac with a brain inside of a hoodie and thinks he's really smart. And there's a whole bunch of people out there who are getting their brains sauced with this garbage. Junk. You need to recalibrate, dude. Your channel's junk. I mean, this is only one video. I didn't watch any other videos on your stuff, right? But if this is a good sample, then how could anybody trust anything on your channel? It's junk, buddy. Junk. Okay, let's move on here. They couldn't get it at the forefront to me. Okay, let's see where else. See, it's hard to these transcripts they're not that really good here, so I gotta. Yeah, he had a question about what happened after the UFO crashed. Did the UFO disappear or just vanish into thin air? Where are the rest of the parts of the UFO? If it crash landed in the backyard, so did it explode? Where are all the pieces all over the ground? It just doesn't make any sense. So he's wondering if it crashed. It crashed, right? We don't know if it crashed. They heard a sound coming down. Nobody knows if it crashed or not. Again, if you would have done some research on this, you would have known. You would have known better to make a dumb comment like this, right? Basically, what you're saying. Okay, so they heard a sound. There was we had the police footage, right? The police body cam footage that shows something flying out of the sky, right? Flying through the sky. Now, people are saying that was a meteor. Okay. Maybe not. I don't see where's the proof. Where's the pieces of the meteor? Right, by the way, did anybody come up with any pieces of that meteor that came down? Okay, but forget about that. That doesn't really matter. Those people heard something coming down. They saw something in the sky. That was what they saw. They were out working on a vehicle and they heard something. They saw something and they heard something and it sounded like something crashed in their backyard. When they first went out in that backyard, before they were filming anything, apparently, they went into that backyard and at first everything looked blurry to them back there. Then a few seconds went by and that's when they saw those beings. And then that's when they went back and they actually had their cameras and they were filming. And that's where they saw they captured something, right? There was something that they captured on that on with that cell phone footage. It looked like the father, two sons, and the mother. Well, the mother was the one filming it. Went back again to look, and that's, I guess, who knows when that happened. Was it after they called 911 and they were waiting for the police to show up? Because apparently the police took about a half hour to show up. Is that when that was filmed? Probably. Who knows? What does it matter? But they did film something, and they heard something. It doesn't mean it crashed. Right? Who said it crashed? I mean, nobody knows what happened. Again, this guy doesn't look into these things. Apparently, it didn't crash, because if it did crash, there would be pieces. But something came down in the yard. Something made a sound. There was another neighbor who corroborated that sound. Okay? This guy didn't do any research into this. He just, this is again flying by the seat of your pants, not even looking into it, not even a modicum of research. Just going by Twitter and TikTok, and then putting a dumb video like this together. That's what it looks like to me. Okay, where else? Let's move on here. The fifth red flag to me was the markings on the ground that the kid reported to have been left there after the crash. According to the kid, these markings left on the ground in his backyard appeared after the UFO crashed. The thing's there, and the thing is, there's this Google footage showing the backyard that clearly shows the circular markings that he claimed to have been from the UFO had been there for a long time before the crash even happened. Angel, the main witness, suggested the circle might have been created when an unknown object landed in the yard. So media sleuths have since pointed out the circular image has been viewable on Google Earth in a year, then directly proves either two things. He says it either proves two things. One, the kid, for whatever reason, didn't know the markings were already there, or two, he was straight up lying and used this to use this. Okay, now let's just stop there for a second. Okay, now again, when the police arrived, and Angel talked about this when he was in this video, right? When the police arrived, one of the officers apparently pointed out to Angel, "Hey, that circle in the yard, is that where it was?" And that Angel just put that together in his head, thinking that's where it was. But yeah, okay, the circles were there. It still doesn't change anything here. He wasn't lying. Like, I think, you go for how is that a red flag? I mean, that was just a mistake. I mean, how is that a red flag? I mean, in fact, it looked like there was a whole bunch of circles in the yard. They probably didn't even notice these things before. So again, you're a mountain out of a molehill when we're really, it was a police officer that suggested that might be where the thing landed, the circle. And Angel had that in his head then. Okay, the sixth red flag, according to this guy, was a so-called ring camera footage where the loud boom was heard. This again has been debunked as the ring camera footage. Footage was from a couple of weeks before and did not happen on the same day of the crash landing. Intimated to us. The video was recorded by one of his neighbors, and the audio was from April from the April 30th UFO crash. It wasn't security camera video. It was recorded in mid-April, according to the man first posted the clip. He doesn't want his name used, but it was recording from a fireball that passed over his house 2 weeks prior to the alleged alien encounter. This was yet another lie the kid sold, as he claimed the ring camera footage was from the same exact day. Now, again, this was stuff you have to remember. The Angel nor his family were going to the media, right? Angel and his family were going to the media. They were not going to the media, right? It was the media that put all this stuff together. It wasn't like that Angel looked at that and said, "Hey, that was from 2 months before, and we'll just use it now." That's not what happened. The media somehow got a hold of that footage, and somehow they were saying that it was at first maybe somebody in the media, or maybe even somebody in Angel's family or Angel himself might have initially thought that, "Oh, this corroborates what we heard that night." Well, of course, obviously, it was turned out that it didn't. It wasn't like somebody was trying to pull off a stunt here with this. Like, this is not even a red flag. There's nothing to this. Anyway, continuing here. The seventh red flag to him was the fact that it's really just a teenage kid who claims to have seen the alien. The news keeps reporting that it's the family that saw the alien, including the mother and father, which are the adults in the house. But this is not true. In the police footage, the officer asked both parents if they seen the aliens, with the dad saying no, stating it was only his boys that seen it. And when the officer asked the mother, she also denied did she see it. Well, no, okay, but they were there, and actually, in one portion of that video, it looks like the father was describing what he was seeing. Right? The father was describing. Again, we don't even know. The family's not even talking to anybody. They don't even want to talk to the press. They don't want to talk to anybody. So they just want their privacy. They don't want to be bothered with this. They don't like this. Maybe the younger Angel, the teenager here, doesn't, he's okay with it. But the rest of the family obviously wants their privacy. They don't want people going to their house. They actually hired an attorney. And they told people, "Hey, stay off our property. These people this family is armed. They don't want anybody trespassing." But again, to say that this is a hoax, it doesn't make any sense as a hoax. It just doesn't make any sense as a hoax. None of this stuff makes sense as a hoax. And this guy here, again, to me, this guy, he gets into other stuff here too, and I'm not gonna go on with it because it gets really trashy toward the end here. I just think that in my viewpoint, like this, what you're seeing here is an example of like under half-assed debunking. This is pure amateur hour when it comes to the debunker world. If you're a professional debunker, you don't do things like this to yourself. You don't make statements that could be easily turned back in your face again. And most of these statements he makes here, as far as I'm concerned, are easily turned back in his face, especially the first one. To say, well, it happened in Area 51. I mean, these people are probably thinking about it all the time. There were people saw thousands of aliens in Area 51. Who saw thousands of aliens at Area 51? That's what I'm trying to figure that one out. I mean, for one thing, nobody's allowed in Area 51. That's for one thing, right? That's one thing, right? Nobody's allowed in there, right? If you get in there, you're gonna get shot, right? That's one thing, right? And then the other thing is if I mean, it's not like the people were seeing aliens. People have seen UFOs out near Area 51. That's been reported a lot of times, but it's not like everyone's going, hey, I just got back from Area 51. Guess what? I saw there was aliens everywhere, man. You won't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I saw aliens everywhere, dude. What's this guy? Where's this guy getting his information from? Obviously, he's never even researched this subject. Has no idea what he's talking about. Doesn't understand what Area 51 is really, what it's supposed to be, apparently. I mean, I don't know. But to me, that's one of the dumbest arguments he makes. I've never heard something so stupid. I mean, again, UFOs are seen all over the planet. I mean, it's not just, in the United States. It's the United Kingdom, and it's in every state of the union. Every state in this of the United States, for instance, there have been UFO encounters and alien encounters. Right, every single state, every single country in this world has reported alien encounters and UFOs. So, and just because his family lives in Las Vegas and Nevada happens to be where Area 51 is, so does that mean that everybody who lives in Nevada, or if they say they saw a UFO, that's a red flag for me? They're just thinking about aliens all the time because Area 51's there, and there were thousands of sightings of aliens at Area 51. Come on. Makes you mad. Anyway. Okay. Well, I guess I'm going to wrap things up for today. Until next time.